Okay guys, so hello, wagwan, welcome. This is Shay, aka Keija from Back to Natural with the Fresh Loc challenge. We ran into a few issues just now, so we are basically restarting. And for those of you guys who are just joining us, you can get to catch up again. So a little bit about me. My name is Shay, and aka Keija. I have been a stylist, licensed, certified stylist for over 2 decades, and I have been featured twice in the Houston Chronicle. I love all things hair, health, and wellness related. Today we are doing part 2 of the interlocking, and I'm showing like how to solve like common problems with the interlocks, how to fix them, and how to ensure like a good consistent technique in between both locks. Okay, so as you join us, if this is your first time on the page, make sure you like or comment on any 5 posts to be notified whenever we go live or whenever we have new interesting things to share. You can also go to the notification bell and click the notification bell to be notified if you have missed any part of the challenge. Hey Nurse Courtney, welcome. Thanks for joining us again. So we had to take a brief intermission, and so now we are back uninterrupted. So if you have missed any part of the challenge, you could go into my link, the link in my bio, and you could click the top link, and basically it will say for your free gift. Okay, if you want to claim your free gift, it will ask you to click that. It'll take you to a next page. You put your email in, and then we'll send you the recap for whatever days you've missed. So what we did in the previous parts of the challenge, last week we went through Q&A. The first 3 days were Q&A. Then we went into how to do a good shampoo. Then we went into detangling techniques. This week we have started with the actual technique. We went into the first day was twisting and clip placement. Then we went into lock stitching. And so now we are going into more lock stitching, but solving common problems. So one of them is what happens when you go into the same lock multiple times. Sometimes it causes the lock to split. So I'm going to show you how to repair that, but before that I'm going to go into doing an interlock and show you how I do it on her hair. So on my models here, I'm using the 3-point technique, which is basically going through in 3 different directions of the hair. And as you go through, the more directions you go through, the more you tighten up that strand. Okay, so for regular like traditional locks, if I'm doing interlocking, I'll do typically a 2 or 3-point technique depending on how the size of the lock. The smaller the lock, the more points I use. So like traditional locks, I'll typically use 2. Welcome to our live. Thanks for joining. I'm Shay, aka Keija, to my day ones. I've been a natural hair stylist for over 20 years. I am licensed in the state of Texas, and I've been featured twice in the Houston Chronicle. I love all things hair health and wellness related. If this is your first time on the page, please leave a heart in the comments. Also make sure to like at least 5 comments. Alright, so we're going to go into the actual technique right now. And if you have a latch hook, make sure that you do the technique along with me. So we're going to zoom into my models here. You're going to need a latch hook that looks like this. Okay. And we're going to go back into the interlocking. So I didn't finish this one. Let me finish this one real quick. So we're like pulling the lock through. Here we're tightening up a stitch real quick. And I'll show you a little bit how to do that later on. If you have any friends that are locking, okay, or have issues with their locks or are wondering how to lock, make sure that you tag them to this live so that they can also join in. Friends help friends have good hair. Okay, so we're going through with our gentle separation technique. So for me, I use the scissors. Sometimes I like to use the scissors. And as you are, hey Sham, welcome to my live. This challenge is for anybody who has locks, who wants locks, or who wants to help a loved one with locks. So, and look, I broke my needle. I'm just so strong, y'all. Let me just grab another needle real quick. Hold on. And this is why I usually have several needles. I easily have at least a dozen needles at my station. So if I drop one, if one breaks, whatever the case may be, I'm ready to go. Okay, so something we went in before. Let me go back over that. So a lot of times when people are doing lock stitching or interlocking, there ends up being this fat section or knot right where the mature lock is, in between the mature lock and the new growth. So to fix that, we're going through the knot and pulling through. Then we go through from the side and we pull through again. And then we go to the other side, and then we pull through. All right, and now we are, as I go through with my fingers, I like to separate. Okay, and there we have it. All right, so now we're gonna go do a few more lock stitching examples. And something I went through yesterday, guys, that I'm gonna go through again is how I hold my needle. So how you hold your needle is really, really important, okay, when you're doing the interlocking. If you notice, some people hold their needles like this, okay? That only gives you so much control, and it really slows you down and does not allow you to be like at peak efficiency when you're doing interlocking. So let me back up. Let me back up for a second. So how you hold your needle is really important, okay? So some people hold their needle like at the very tip of the latch hook, like this. So when I hold my needle, I like to put it in the palm of my hand, like this. Okay. And then I clasp my fingers, and then I leave these two fingers free. Okay? So that's what it should look like. I should say, that's what mine looks like, okay, to allow like maximum efficiency of when you're doing your technique. And I'll show you why in a second. Okay, so if you hold your needle too far away, it's not going to give you like ideal control of the needle. The time you could spend pulling through the hair or working with the little extra pieces of hair, you're fighting with your needle, okay? But when your hand is closer to the needle like this, you have more control. You can hold the needle, pull that through. You have use of both your fingers. You could pull through frizz, you could pull through anything that's getting in the way of your lock. Okay, and there you have it. Do you notice that there's no difference in between the size of the mature lock and the size of the new growth? And that's how you know you've done a good job. Okay, I'll show you what a less than ideal lock stitch looks like. Here we're separating the lock. Alright. Let's do one more interlocking, and then we're gonna go into finishing up this technique. And some of these steps, guys, I'm only doing because it's been a while between my client's maintenance, and so she has matted hair in between the new growth and the lock. Hey, Miss Ida. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to the Fresh Loc challenge. We're showing how to do interlocking or lock stitching. And we're showing some tips and tricks of the trade. If you have locks or want to help a loved one with locks or thinking of growing locks at this moment, can you put a heart in the comments? We're using a 3-point technique on my models here. I'm going to show you an example. Okay, this is an example of what you want it to look like. Okay, there's consistency between the new growth interlock and the more mature part of the lock. You shouldn't have too much of a difference in look between the new and the old lock. So what does a less than ideal one look like? Okay, I'm going to separate this one and then I'm going to give you an example. Okay, so I'm going to clip that apart, pull that apart. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Jaylon. Welcome to our Fresh Loc challenge. If you have locks, are thinking of getting locks, or want to help a loved one with locks, or even if you know people with locks, feel free to leave a heart in the comments. Alright, so let me show you what a less than ideal interlock looks like. This is a big mistake of a lot of novice stylists when they're interlocking. Do you notice the mature lock? You notice the new growth. Here in between is the problem area. So they start maintaining the hair, right? And now, do you notice the difference? The difference between this lock and this lock? Okay. The one on the left is a lot puffier, especially right here. There is a transition area between the mature lock and the new interlock. In the other example, again, our client might need like a little lot detox here, but this looks like some fuzz. We'll deal with that later. Hey, Miss Mary, welcome to the live. Thanks for joining. We're doing a Fresh Loc challenge and we're showing interlocking. So with this one, this is what you want ideally. Okay, there is consistency between the new growth that we just locked, interlocked, and the rest of the strand. The diameter is pretty similar. This one is not what you want so much, because if you notice, there is an area right here that's kind of puffy and inconsistent with the diameter of the other sides of the lock. So how do you fix this? Okay, this is how we fix it. We go through both sides with the needle, bring it through, just like how you're doing the interlocking through the loose strands. you're going to do the same thing through the matted area. Okay, and it's going to tighten it up. And give it that smoothness that you want. If you guys have any questions, now is a great time to drop them. And if you have anyone that you're practicing with, now's a good time to do these while the challenge is going on. So if you have any questions, you will be good to go. And in general, this is a good way to just tighten up your interlock. You see any puffy areas, you want to go through with your latch hook, pushing your needle through from side to side, and then working your needle through the lock to close that gap. I'm going to show you guys another frequently encountered problem that I see is when people are doing their own interlocks. Sometimes they double or triple loop that hair. They take the loop through the same section 2 or 3 times, and what happens is it creates a hole in the lock. How do you fix that hole? Okay, first I'm going to smooth the transition between the mature lock and the new growth. Okay, now I'm going to show you what happens when people go through too many times in the same direction. So let's say they're taking their latch hook, they're just latch hooking away merrily. Da, 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 da. Okay, you see what's happening here? That is splitting into 2, guys. Now there's a time and a place for that to happen, but not when you're trying to do your maintenance. Sometimes you might want to split your locks or create more volume. And if you do, it's okay to do that because your plan is to split the lock anyway. So that's not a problem. Okay, so now look at what happened. We have a hole in the lock. And the reason why that's problematic is because as the lock grows, both of these legs are going to mature and it's going to cause your lock to split. It's going to develop a weak spot in the lock. Okay? So, what I like to do is put my hook into both legs of the lock, push it all the way through, and take the end and just come through perpendicular degree or a 90-degree angle. I'm going through and then I'm pulling the hair through straight across. Every time I pull through, I alternate sides. Okay? Now I'm gonna do the same thing. Now I'm gonna pull through again. Okay? Now I'm gonna switch sides again. Make sure you're getting the pointy tip through both ends. Alright, and then do it again until that gap is satisfactorily closed. Okay, and here we are. So now we're at the top of the section. Just making sure everything is blended well. All right. And there you have it, guys. All gone. All right, so now that we've done a few interlocks, I'll show you how to finish it, or I should say how I like to finish my lock stitching clients. Because what's the sense of doing all this work and then if the hair still looks frizzy, right? So I'm going to take my scissor and I'm going to do a pruning, okay? So I like to prune my clients, and this helps the hair to look really neat. Okay, do you see all that fuzz? There's a little fuzz on there, okay? And then when I'm pruning, let me back this up a little. I hold my scissor parallel to the surface of the lock, and then I start trimming. Making sure not to cut through the lock itself. Do not cut through any loops or lumps or bumps, unless it's like just loose little hair. Then you can cut through it. Okay, let me zoom this in a little bit so you can see. Okay, do you see the difference? If you can tell the difference, make sure to drop a heart in the comments. Okay. And then I'm gonna go to the next one. Trim, trim, trim. And a quicker way to do some of these is just to go along the surface. Alright guys, so, and there we have it for the interlocking / lock stitching for today. Here you guys have it for the interlocking and lock stitching for today. I hope you have found it helpful. I've enjoyed sharing this live with you guys. Please join us for tomorrow as we go into the lock crochet technique. So just to touch on that, we'll do a quick recap of the lock stitching. Previous day we did the palm rolling with clip placement, just to show some of you guys how to place your clips and not end up with a million clips and making the lock maintenance experience more difficult than it needs to be. So we're going to go into crocheting, and then the final day we'll go into a brand new technique I call keyhole locking, and this one helps takes all the fuzz and frizz on the hair and it locks it in, kind of like spinning yarn or making wool. So I hope you'll be here to join us. Thanks again for joining our live. If this is our first time on the page, make sure that you click like or comment on at least 5 comments so that you'll be notified whenever we have new posts or events on our page. Also, you can go to the main page and click the notification bell so it will notify you right away whenever we're having lives or, you know, stories or anything that could be of interest to you. So make sure you click on those things. Also, if you have missed any part of this challenge, make sure that you go in the link in my bio and click the top link for your free gift. And the free gift will basically be a recap of each day of the lock challenge. So make sure you do that. Hopefully you can get all these techniques, because at the end of the challenge they're all coming down. So anyway, thanks for joining again the Fresh Loc challenge. It's been my pleasure to be here with you, and remember, dare to be perm free.